this is what we are going to talk about, data introduction, pivot table report, and grouping, slicer, and pivot chart. So for those of you who can't make it today, doesn't matter, this session will be recorded and will be shared to everyone. Okay, so let's move right into it. I'm going to share my Excel screen now. Right. Now, I hope this screen looks familiar to you. If it is not, then you have not been using Excel. Okay, so this screen should be quite familiar to you and how it work around. Now, the feature that I'm talking about here, it's called pivot table. If in your office, you have this sort of table, this kind of data, you're going to have a problem. Look at this, we have the title on top, a category. So this category is called channel sales, and these are the record for the channel sales. So if I go down further, then you will notice that there is another category called enterprise. And if I go down further, there is another category that will say government and so on. So what Microsoft Excel will pick up here is they will treat the particular word called partner as a number one. It's because it belongs to column A, and they will treat NO, the number. One of the item is called channel partner. So this kind of data is not suitable for your pivot table. Another item that is not suitable in here is that you have an empty title here. You see, you have number, country, product, you have empty cell. So if you have an empty cell like this and you plan to pivot table. Now, how do I create a pivot table? I can go to the insert ribbon, table, and I click pivot table. The first, I will just fill up the screen. Now, view, sorry, not view, insert. The first button here is called the pivot table. So if I click this now, everything seems okay, for now. But when I click the button to exit this particular pivot table, you will see that there will be an error. And Excel will say that the pivot table field name is not valid. Now, this is not very, very easy to understand, because it says that to create a pivot table report, you must use the data that is organized in the list label. Now, a lot of people won't understand what they are trying to tell you. Basically, what they are trying to say in that particular message is you cannot have an empty cell without. You can have a database without a data, but you cannot have a database without a title. Okay, how do we have a child when there is no parent? You cannot. You must have their parents. The parents then will produce the child. You can't have a child that don't have a parent. There's no such thing. So everyone were born to this world. So there is at least the mother or the father. If they pass away, then I'm so sorry to say that, but they pass away. But they have data set must have a title. You cannot produce a pivot table report with this kind of data, right? Then another other item here that will give you a problem is when your data is kept as a text. Data is kept as a text. What you're going to face later is you are not going to. Sorry?
Calvin, your voice seems to be in and out, so I'm not sure whether it's my connection or it's yours. I don't know about the rest of them, but for me, it's
I know it's my connection, so I'm checking my connection as well. So,
Same thing here also, in and out.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's happening, but I didn't touch any of the screen.
Yeah, but okay.
I think it's time for you to buy the much more canggih microphone lah.
I'm using the.
Wah, canggih mah, okay, fine.
With the condenser.
Dah canggih dah.
Okay. All right.
Might be the internet connection or.
Possible lah, internet
possible
connection.
As well. Yeah.
But anyway, continue lah, Calvin. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. I'm going to go to the data which is organized properly, and we're going to produce a report. So this data that I'm having here is a sample report that I want to prepare. So if you look at it, I have a sales manager right at the top here. I have all the different written region and their reports are calculated. Okay, so the raw data looks like this. So this is the actual raw data that being used. So if you look at this raw data, it has from column A all the way to column W. It's a huge data, and it contains around how many? 8,400 row of data in here, which means it's quite a huge data per se. They are quite huge. So I need to convert this whole information into this report. And all I need is just less than a minute to do this. No formula involved. It's just basically drag and drop. So let me just show it to you without explaining first. So I'm going to go into this thing called, wait, there's a chat here. Let me just have a look. You missed my voice, huh? Okay. Okay. Now, how do we do this is we go to the insert pivot table. Then if you are actually clocking me now, you will see that I can create this report even though if you're clocking me. I have all the titles that I have up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take region. So I'm going to go to the region. I'm going to put it here. I go to the manager, I put it here. And I'm going to take something called their sales figure. Where's my sales? Sales. Okay, so I'm going to take a sales. I'm going to put it here. My report is ready. You see that? I just drag and drop them. Less than a minute, this report is ready. So all I need to do is just format it. So what you see just now I might be using a different information. I don't know what I'm using. Is there something called? No. Let me just take a look. Yeah, it's the same lah. 288,000. So 288,000. This is the report. So you can build report like this in just 1 minute or less. You just have to know what you need to do. All right. So I'm going to do a little bit slower this time. I'm going to take this one out, take this one out. So anything that you don't need, you can drag it out. So how do we start? Or maybe I just start all over again. Let me just delete this worksheet. So from your raw data, all you need to do is just go to Insert, Pivot Table. That's all. This particular button here. And they will detect the entire data, A1 to W8400. And this worksheet is a little bit crowded, so that I'm going to put it into a new worksheet. So I hit OK. There you go. So every time when we start a pivot table, they will show me this pivot table fields. So these are all the title that you see in the database earlier. You just have to use them one by one. Now this screen normally will just stick at the side here, but I can just pull it out. Okay, so whenever you are using the pivot table, you just have to take whatever information that you need and drag it down into the columns or row and the value. All right, I'll explain this in a while. Now let me turn on my video. Okay, so I'm planning to prepare a very simple report stating who are the manager and how are they doing. How much have they contributed to the revenue? So I'm going to look for the manager and I drag and drop it down into row. When I do that, they will appear as row. If you look at Sam, Chris, William, Erin, and Pat, they are appearing as row. But when I put it right on top here, you see, I just drag it across, they appear at the top as a column. My intention here is to make it into row because I want to show you how you can prepare more reports based on this. So I want to get the title out. Let me just put in the sales. Right? This is the sales. Put it in. There you go. This is the total sales by each and every manager. So each and every manager will have this. I highlight this. I just go to the comma style. So they are formatted properly now. Now, let me just make this one bigger so that you can see clearer. Right? So this is the report. Now, for a pivot table, what you can do is every single item in this pivot table can be modified except accept the number, the values. So for example, this title here, I don't want this to sound very weird, like sum of sales. So what I do is I can put there revenue. Okay, revenue. So I put it as revenue, I can put it in the center, so on. So that's how it goes. So all these Sam, Chris, William, Erin, and Pat, they are the managers. I can change the title to managers. There you go. So all these managers. Right. So you see, the report are done so quickly, and you can change and make it into something that you like. All right. Now, my intention is not to show you just the total, but I also want to know each and every one of these, like Sam. Okay, 2,189,000. Actually, it's how many percent of the total revenue. So I can take this value called sales again, and I drop it into the value. So once I drop it in, I will have the same information appear. Now, do you notice that the revenue is already in here, and then I got another sum of sales over here? How do they appear up there? Now, that's because I have two sets of data that I want to show. So they cannot show two sets of data in one cell, in one column. So what they do is they put it up here. No, this title value now put it at the top called column. So they arrange it by the column. Now, if you are not in favor with this, put this one down and put here. Then you have the report change. You can put the report on top here and the report change as well. So revenue, and this is total sales. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it as column. So I just want you to know that it's very flexible. There's no right and wrong where you actually put the column, inside columns and row. Where you put them is not an issue. Is the report, whether this is what you want or not. Now, for this particular column, I don't need the revenue again. So what I do is I just right-click that particular set of data, any one of this, right-click. I just go to this thing called Show Value As, and I will take something called percentage of grand total. And they calculated the percentage for you. Okay, so I want to put that here as a percent of contribution. Okay, things like that, percent of contribution. Then I can highlight this and put them in the center. Okay, now, are you following me so far? Go to the group chat and tell me, are you following it so far? Yes? Yeah. So for those of you who have been using Excel and you have exposed to this pivot table, this is just a piece of cake. You can just put it in, right-click it, and do whatever changes you want. So from such a huge set of data, now the report is no longer difficult for you. As long as you have the data with you, as long as you have this set of data and you want to work on your pivot table, just drag and drop them. All right. Now, I also need to know this 2.189 million by Sam. Okay, I need to know in actual fact how many transaction belongs to Sam. Now, I can use things like order ID. I put the order ID. I'll put it down here. Okay, I put it down here. And they told me, they are telling me there are 30,822,068 total order. Now that can't be, right? We only have 8,400 row. How can we have 30 million number of row? Now this is actually sum of the order ID. So let's revisit the data. Order ID, yeah? So if I go to my original data, is this order ID is actually a number. So what they did was they total up the number instead of they count the number. So how do I change this? I can just right click, summarize data value by count. Then this is the actual total record that, number of records belongs to each and every manager here. So we can put here number of invoices. Oops, invoices. Okay, so I highlight this, I put it in the center. So I just want to make sure that this is the middle. I change this to a number. This you go. Then I make them with comma. So this is the total number of record. Please do not count the number of record yourself. Just use this pivot table, and there you go. The report is ready. Right? That's how easy your product is going to be. Right? Your final output here is going to be. The report that I showed you earlier this is a very quick report. This is a cross-tab report, but this is more for your presentation to the bosses, where you can see, okay, this is taking up how much, this is taking how much, and so on. Now, usually when you present the data, you will put the one with the highest sales on top. But in this example, you notice that pet is at the bottom, even though the value is the highest. So how can we rearrange this? Very simple, right? We just go to this, any of this manager here. We just click the drop-down list. You can do the sorting. So this is actually a filter screen. You go to the more sorting. Now you tell them, I want to arrange the highest to the lowest using descending order, but not based on the spelling of the sales manager's name. Its sales belongs to the revenue. I want them to calculate based on the revenue. So I just change it to revenue and I hit OK. So they will put pet on top, at the top here. Then I was thinking, hey, I don't want to look at the data from pet. Pet is actually the overall sales director. So we don't want to see pet. So we can take away pet in this case. We just want to compare Chris, Erin, Sam, and William in this example. So from here, you can see Chris is on top. In this case, right? Okay, it's okay, Claire, no problem. Claire, or Mervin, okay. All right, so this is a very quick report on how you can do this. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of spice to this. I'm going to put something called, let's just say, product customers, sorry, not product, but customer segment. So if I take this customer segment, I drop it above the manager. So now my report has a different look and feel now. Okay, so it's the data that you see is broken down into segment. So from every segment, like consumer, you know who are the highest. Now, how long do you need to do this? You see, from here, customer segment, just drop it on top. Our report is ready. So how fast that can be, right? So as long as you can master your pivot table, it will be really, really fun to work with. Huh? Okay, so now, one more thing that I want to share to you. What I'm going to do next is, okay, let me just close this for a while. I'm going to use something called slicer. Now, this is where Excel magic comes in. Huh? I'm going to go to this pivot table analyze. I will insert a slicer. So from this slicer, slicer acts as though it is basically a filter. So I'm going to go to this thing called product category, click. So I have different product category now. Okay, so this product category, and I want to make it into 3 columns. I'm going to go up here and change it to 3 columns so that the buttons are arranged from left to right, like this. Okay, so this is how I'm going to look like. Now, the good news here is when you look at this report, okay, let me just try to zoom in a little bit bigger. If you look at this report, all the number that you're looking at comes from the 3 category. So when your boss or yourself wants to look at only for furniture, if you click this furniture, the report will change to only for the product called furniture. Right? So that's how you can actually find out, okay, then I have office supply. So if you look at furniture for a consumer, Chris is the champion for the furniture product for the consumer segment. But when I click the office supply, Chris is not. Chris is the worst. You can see that he's number 4 in this case. William is number 1 at the top now, 132,000. But when I click technology, you see William is still number 1, Chris is number 2. But Chris is a champion in the furniture and William is not selling furniture. You can see from here where are the strengths of your sales manager. But when you click the corner here to remove the filter, there you go. You can have the report. Okay. Now, do you have any questions so far? Anyone? What do you think so far? So for those of you who are working with big data and trying to make sense out of the set of data given to you, so now this is just few clicks away. Now all I need is
Kelvin,
yes,
can you hear me?
yes I can.
I just want to look, can you scroll all the way down? Is there a total for all of these products?
The grand total.
Just the grand total in one line. There's no summary or by Chris for in total for all the products. It's just a grand total only.
The grand total. This grand total is basically for all the product category.
Yeah, okay.
By the.
No, I was just wondering, like for Chris, what is his total for the grand total? How much belongs to Chris? That was the previous report, but okay, that's okay. I understand. I can see what's happening. Okay, thanks, Kelvin.
You can have add-ons, no problem. Right. Yes, you can. You can have that. All I need to do is just make a copy of this. Then let me just put it down here. So for this report, I go back to my field list and I just remove the manager, the customer information. So now I have two reports. You see that? So if I click on furniture, it will still works, right? You see, they change. Both report change, in fact. Both the report actually change. So you were asking about, can I still have this? Yes, you just make a copy and paste it over. Take out whatever information that you don't need. Earlier, there was a customer segment, so I took it out from this report. But this report, I maintain it. I maintain to break down by.
Okay, thanks, Kelvin. That was what I was looking for. That summary box you just put.
Both. You just have to copy and paste it out. Remove.
Okay. Okay.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly what you asked just now. Okay, let me just undo the filter first. I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste another item down here. But this time, I'm not going to do something called manager. I'm going to take out the manager. I don't need the percentage. I don't need the invoice. I just need the revenue. And from here, I will put in the order date. I bring in the order date. So when I bring in the order date, so what happened now is Excel read this information and this is called the date. Date. I don't want to know the daily sales rate, daily sales kind of a revenue, but I want to see by month. So if I right click this information now, this label, I right click them, I can go to the group and I tell them I want to show it by month. So the date that I'm having, so I have a monthly report. Okay, so I have 3 reports completed in just less than 20 minutes. Okay, so now if I click office supply, you see the number change, see the number change, or this number change. So that's the slicer. Slicer really makes wonder to you. Okay, let me just push that up a little bit. Let me just arrange. So I want it to be neat. So what I do is just move it up a little bit. Okay, not, so I have, okay, so I'm gonna put this one up a little bit. Okay, cool. Right now, after I have done this, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on this thing that has the date, the date, right? I'm going to convert it into a chart, pivot chart. Okay, so I'm going to use a normal column chart like this. There you go. I'm going to put a chart down here. Okay, let me just close this guy. Now, as for this chart, I'm going to do a little bit of setting for this chart. So I'm going to go to the pivot table analyze. I'm going to remove all the buttons, all the gray buttons on top. I'm going to remove that. I don't need these grid lines. I'm going to remove the grid lines. I don't need this as well. I'm going to delete them. So I have this. I don't need the legend. I just delete them. Okay, I just select what I don't like and I just delete them. Then I right click this format data series. So in this format data series, I don't want the gap to be so far away for each of the column. I just make the column width, the gap width to be a little bit smaller. So the gap width is smaller, the column gets bigger. That's my intention. So from here, I can put in something called the data label. The data label, I would like to put it outside in. Now you see the label on top here. Okay, you see the label on top here. Now this label is not very nice at the moment, simply because they look overlapping and the number is just too big and so on. So I'm going to put something to each of the label here. I'm going to click the label, and I'm going to work on the formatting. So I go to this, go to this one called the label options. I'm going to close the label option. I'm entering this. So I'm going to use something that says custom. I'm going to write some formatting here. Now, don't worry about what I'm writing, but if anyone attends my class, you can actually do this yourself as well. Huh? So I'm going to put in here like, if the value, delete this, if the value is greater than equal to 1 million. Okay, so let me just make this a little bit wider so they can see this. Okay, if this is greater than 1 million, okay, then I will use hash, comma, hash, hash, 0 dot, maybe no dot lah, 0, and I want to show it in the nearest million. So I put comma right at the back there and an alphabet M. Okay, so what happens if the value is not in million, it's only in thousands? So then I will do this. I'll say greater than or equals to 1,000. And I'll use this formatting. 1 comma for 1,000, 2 comma for 1 million. Then I'm going to put here K. So if the value is not more than 1,000, then I will just put 0.00. That's it. So I'm going to add this into the formatting, right? So take a look at what happened to this now. It's showing me the nearest 1,000 on the label. Okay, so that's the formatting part that you need to work on, this number formatting. Okay, so let me just make this bigger. Okay. You can do a screenshot of this and apply it to your Excel file if you want to. So you just have to make sure that the cell or the number that you are going to format is selected, then just use this formatting for them to look like this. Rather than a long-winded number, it can be a smaller set of number. All right, so this one, I can change the title now to monthly sales revenue. All right, so this is the monthly sales revenue. Let me close this guy. So if you look at my report now, it looks pretty much like a dashboard. So when I click this, they change. Now even the chart change. So these are all in millions. These are in 100,000s and the chart moves. Okay, so what do you think, guys? Right, I hope you like what you have just witnessed. Now, pivot table is not something very difficult to learn. And many people out there, when they hear this, they find it like, oh, this is very complicated, right? But they are not, okay? It's a matter of just drag and drop. So if you need that particular panel again, you can just right click on any of your report, any one of your report, right click, just go to show field list. So when you show your field list, then you see, you will see something called the pivot table fields. This is where all the titles from your database comes in. Now, when I say title, I'm referring to the one on top. Yeah, this one, the row ID, the order ID, the order date. So what I was doing just now with the order date, I change it into months. So that's what I'm doing just now, right? So these are all the titles that I read out earlier. So you can use them anywhere inside your layout. Okay, you can put it into any of your layout. If you think, oh, I don't want to show by manager, so I want to show by maybe, okay, let's look for something else. Maybe by ship mode. So I just put a ship mode. So by delivery truck, by express air, by regular air. So these are the total revenue using this service, right? So you can, how much business given, how much business derived from William, where we are actually using the service company, the shipping company, whether they are using delivery truck, are they using the express air or just a regular air? Yeah, you can do that. So if you don't want this, you can just pull it out. You want to go by maybe product container, right? So you want to know by different kind of packaging, how much revenue did you get? Just drag and drop them. Nothing too difficult actually. Right? So just drag and drop them. It was customer segment earlier, so I'm going to put it back to customer segment. Okay, any questions, please?
Calvin, Fina here. Can we copy these into a PowerPoint?
Yes, but you will lose the functionality of all this slicer and the formula and whatnot.
Okay, so meaning to say that, say now that I have the data like this, then I decided, okay, I copy this into PowerPoint. In other words, it's like a static lah. Kalau kita transfer to the other PowerPoint.
Let me just do that and show it to you.
Okay, thank you.
I copy, then I go into my PowerPoint. Let me just start a brand new PowerPoint file. Okay, I need to switch to my PowerPoint file first. Where is my PowerPoint? Oh no. Give me a second. Give me a second. Yeah, I start a brand new PowerPoint file. Where is my PowerPoint? Okay, here. So are you looking at my PowerPoint? Okay, I just go to a blank slide. Then I paste. There you go. It comes in like this. It's not what you see in your Excel.
Okay.
So you might not want to do that. So what I suggest that you can do is, okay, you can draw some buttons, okay, make it look great in PowerPoint. Okay, maybe you want to make it look like this. Okay, then you say report. Okay, what you do is you just make this one big. Okay, so when you are presenting, you say, let's take a look at the report. So what you do is you can click this, go to the links. So you link to the existing file. So you go to the folder. Let me just go to the folder called desktop. Where is my desktop? I kept the file in the webinar folder at the bottom, webinar folder. So today is my Excel training share. This is the file. Okay, so I'm going to do that. So I will have my PowerPoint file ready. Okay, let me just share my screen instead. So this is my Excel file and I'm done with my presentation, correct? I'm done with my report. So what I'll do now is I will make sure that I will hide all these things like heading, formula bar, grid lines, and I double click the ribbon. So this is my what's called this, the screen that I'm going to present to my audience in PowerPoint. So what I do is I go to my PowerPoint. So this is my presentation. So while I'm doing this, I can actually click this button, click, and it will bring me to Excel. So I will present my Excel. Once I finish clicking all the buttons I need and so on, then I just minimize it to go back to my PowerPoint. So don't bring your Excel report, which is a complete report, and bring it all over to, bring everything to your PowerPoint. You don't do that. So that will make your PowerPoint file very heavy. And it is not very effective when you do your presentation. Now, the setback here is that when you use this method, when you work in a Zoom, you must make sure you are sharing your screen and not sharing your windows. If you share your windows, your application windows, you won't be able to switch from screen to screen easily. Okay, so I hope I answer your question. You don't bring it,
Yep, thanks. Yeah,
bring it,
thank you.
the report together. Okay, any other questions? Now, I was showing something a lot simpler for the past few weeks. Now I'm going a little bit intense. So not everything in Excel is easy, but not everything is very hard. I'm slowly going into those things which people wants to know, like VLOOKUP, and a lot of people wants to know about if logic, how do they do the what if analysis. Yeah, all those kind of things will come after. But for now, I'm just want to show you this pivot. Any question, any other question regarding this pivot table? Formula, I have not touched on formula. You notice I didn't even mention anything about formula yet. Yeah, formula is something very fun to learn. Yeah, if you're talking about function, it's a lot of fun things to learn, but it requires a little bit of what do you call that, understanding what you want to achieve in this case. Anyone with other question? If you have not,
Kelvin, so what does the word pivot here mean?
they actually just arrange the report for you. Can you imagine with this big set of data that you're looking at? This big set, not this one, sorry, I chose the wrong file. Which is the file? This is the file. Okay, can you imagine if you're looking at such a big set of data? How are you going to put this into perspective that everyone understand your report? The word pivot basically just jump into the solution immediately, just tells you how do you want to mold your report, then you just do it. Right? Just put what you need to show. So you collectively create a summary based on what you desire to achieve. You pivot it. I think if you check the what do you call that, the dictionary is like creating a summary of your report. So this is the data. It's almost impossible to know how much that Sam actually captured, the sales captured by for the manager called Sam. What is the total? It's almost impossible to know unless you write a formula. But now we don't even write a formula. We just drag and drop them, and we can change the report anytime we want. Just drag and drop. This feature here is very, very powerful. Okay. One of the winning feature that a lot of people wants to use. Now, for your information, this particular feature is considered a little bit outdated. Okay. Now, I'm introducing it to you and I'm telling you that it's outdated. But when you are new to this Microsoft Excel, you will find, oh, this is super. Don't have to waste so much time on my report. But there are better ways that you can do this now if your data are very, very nicely done. So the problem is the data is not nicely done. Then you have to clean it. So there is something called Power Pivot. One layer on top of your pivot table is called Power Pivot, which also has something called Power Query for you to clean up the data and then create your report using Power Pivot. Power Pivot allows you to have relationship with multiple set of data. So I might have a set of data which is only the customer information, no sales record from the customer database. But I have another report which has we capture all the sales activity by the customer. All right. So all these activities of the sales also capture who are the employee that service the customer. So I have another table, employee, which doesn't capture the sales feature, but this number, this particular salesperson appear in the sales activity. So now the boss wants to know, how much does this salesperson actually sell in that month? So how do we do that? We have 3 different set of table. How do we do that? And I want to know this particular customer come from which state? Is it Putrajaya? Is it Sabah? Is it Sarawak? Or is it Johor? We do not know. Or is it Penang Lang? We do not know. So what happened is, how do you put these three tables together? That's where you are going to use Power Pivot, because pivot table only allows one set of table, and it doesn't help you to clean up the data. So on top of this pivot table that I'm talking to you now, there is another layer called Power Pivot, but that requires an additional installation to Microsoft Excel. And of course, the highest of all, the mother of all these reports are called the Power BI. Power BI is not Excel, but you can actually use Excel as your data handling. You know, you can put your data in your Excel, but you can create a report using Power BI. In Power BI, you can have Power Maps. If your reports are coming from all over the world, you can actually put flag in which country and the number appear. All this kind of thing can be created. So there's a different level of Microsoft Excel altogether. But for now, I'm just showing you something very fundamental, which is called the pivot table. Right? This is actually very, very fundamental. Okay, so yeah. Kenny, I hope I answer your questions on that.
Yes, thank you very much. I have learned so much. Before this, I couldn't understand. I couldn't figure out what to do with a pivot table, you know. But now, in just this little while, you have shown me in a very clear way how useful this thing is, you know. I tell you, I owe you a lunch for this. Thank you very much.
Don't worry. I just want people to know how they can, I just want to share with something that can help people in their life. And you move forward, you just use it and don't let all this Microsoft software application bully you and make you work overtime for unnecessarily. You are just working long hours to get things done. So there are so many ways you can do things fast. If you were with me last week when I talked about Microsoft Word, you realize that you have wasted like at least 2-3 years of your time working on long documents, working on documents, which you actually spend so much time in your life doing it, where you can just do it in 3 clicks. Can you imagine? A year of things that you have done can be done in 3 clicks. How much you have, how much time you have wasted in your life doing that thing over and over again. But you can actually complete it in just 3 clicks, right? Maybe I can do a rerun on that. Huh? Now, Abdul Wahab say, is Power BI is a Microsoft Office product? No, it's not. Power BI is a separate product by itself. It's an AI kind of a reporting structure. You can go to, it's free. If you download the Power BI desktop, you can use it for free. But the web version, you have to pay, you have to subscribe. Just use the desktop version, which is fine. You can actually still use it. Just go and you just Google for Power BI and just download it into your desktop. Download the Power BI desktop and then you start using it. It's very similar to what you see now. If the data that you are using is already cleaned up, very nicely done, then Power BI is good to go. In Power BI, you can actually get your data from multiple sources. You can even connect your data source to Facebook. From Facebook, you can actually go to certain part of the Facebook to collect the data, bring it down into your Power BI, and you can do wonders report inside. You can go to those Wikipedia where you have all the population, GDP, the growth rate, the birth rate, what male versus female. Those report. Just download it. Just get the data from the web, put it into your Power BI. Then you can start analyzing the population around the world. As long as you just go and do that, yeah, they actually do multiple database. But what I'm showing you here is the database has to be in Excel. Okay. Now, for your information, if you look at my screen, okay, I will turn on some information first. I go to the view. I'll turn on the grid lines, headings, and formula bar. Now, the headings are all this 1, 2, 3, ABC at the side. If you look at the bottom here, I go all the way down to the bottom, And you look at this, the last row is 1,048,576, which means Excel, one worksheet can hold up to 1 million row only. If the data that you are collecting is more than 1 million, then Excel will not be there to help you. That's where you need not software, but features such as Power BI, or maybe Power Query or Power Pivot to help you generate that report from what you call it as virtual data. You cannot download it into your Excel, because Excel maximum number of rows is only 1 million. So if let's say you have 4 million sets of records, you can't load it into Excel, because then the space is not enough. You can't move a bungalow furniture into a government flat. It can't fit. Even the bed cannot go in. So yeah, you can't do that. You cannot bring a big set of furniture into a small flat. Like in this case, this is considered a small flat. It's only 1 million row. You can't bring in like 5 million sets of data, 5 million row of data, and you want to put it into Excel. You cannot. So Excel is considered the lowest range of data set that you can use in Excel. But for a novice user, for a normal user, normally they just work around like thousands of data and hundreds of columns. That's it. But they will not do more than that. Right? So yeah, the heart is multiple data feed. You can get it from there. Just go and download Power BI and then explore. If in the YouTube, there are so many videos about Power BI that you can actually start with. But if you have not sure how Power BI works, right, the first thing you can do is search for the video called Power BI for Beginners. Then they will explain to you the concept and everything. You understand it, then you move further from there. Right. So most of us usually, yes, we are bullied by Excel, Word, and PowerPoint, and just because we don't have enough knowledge to help us do the work quickly. All right. So now, any further question? Okay, practice pivot, turn on, resolve, spin based on Google. Pivot equals to turn on, resolve, spin. Yeah. Basically, it's just a summary lah. A summary. So quiet means you're okay. Everybody?
Sorry, Kelvin, just one question.
No problem. Go. No problem.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loudly.
How much more complicated is pivot table compared to data?
Compared to what again?
Data on Excel. The data on Excel has also got all the sort functions and all the filters in there as well. You know, that data, the next to formula.
What do you want to know about data?
I want to know how much more complicated your data. Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm. That one also can do a lot of analysis of this information, right?
Yeah, but they don't give you reports.
Yeah, that's the main difference. It gives you this. Yours, the pivot table gives you the reports.
They let you manage the data. Mm. They don't give you figures. They just allows you to arrange the data.
And you can specify. You can use the filters here and data query and all that.
Filter. But do you know by sales manager how much they actually earn or how much they have sold?
You can sort by the managers and all that.
Most of people.
But what's the one big advantage of pivot table? Of course, that you can do a report.
The report created is very fast, and they have this button here to help you filter what you want.
Yeah.
Right. So if you are a regional manager, so you can click on those regions to check okay, how many what is the sales achievement so far in this region. So you click that region, then you study the report. You click this region, you study the report. You can even like combine furniture and technology. So you just click furniture, you hold down your control, you click technology. So now you are selecting 2 items. This report is showing a combination of furniture and technology. Right, so I guess if you ask me what is the advantage of using this, is the speed. how you actually view your report very quickly. There's a lot of people who build a dashboard using pivot table. I'm sure you have heard of dashboard, right? Dashboard reporting and so on. Yeah, one of the tools you can use is pivot table. And you notice that it's not only the table that is changing, the chart is also changing. The chart is also changing. If I have a few other charts like the pie charts and whatnot, yeah, you will see everything is updated. Yeah. Then what you can do is like many people out there who publish their training, data visual storytelling and this kind of thing. So they need to come up with something like this in order to tell you a story about how the company is performing. They can't be telling you based on this. How do you expect your audience to understand? Okay, Sam, how much did Sam do? Then you have to like, okay, go to the manager, click here, Sam, okay. So Sam actually have a total sales. So where is the total sales? Then you can be moving up and down looking for the information. Okay, let's do this all the way down. Then you read down here, right? You read down here at the bottom to see, oh, it's 2.189 million. You can't be doing that in your presentation, but you can do this really quick here. So I want to know about Sam. For all, then Sam is 2.189 million for all the product category. I can actually use more than one slicer. I can use more than one slicer. I can call out more than one slicer, not necessarily just one slicer. All right, I have Chok asked me, data in Microsoft Excel is like a 100-pager report. Pivot table gives you in an overview like the executive summary. In the way, yes, yeah. Nowadays you see many people use pivot table to get a quick summary, and what they do is they can add on information. For example, if I don't change this into a chart, right? If I'm not changing to a chart, but I just leave it as number, who will know or notice which month is the highest? They don't. So they can actually highlight this set of data, go to the home, and choose something called conditional formatting. Then what I'll do is I'll go to the top bottom rows. I want to show the top 10 item. But when I show the top 10 item, then you see a lot of these months are lit up because top 10. But I just want to know who is the highest. So I put 1. So December is the highest for overall. But when I click office supply, you will notice that October is the highest. If you don't have a chart with you, you can still see who is the highest using conditional formatting as the base to do this. They change. Right. So yeah, you can also add on other features beside what is already in the pivot table to do that. So you can go to this thing called conditional formatting. Right. Now I don't need to do for this simply because I already arranged them who is the highest. But for the months, I need to show the months in the same order, but I need to know which month is the highest. That's where I use something called pivot table to do that. So pivot table helps you to make your data, like you tell the story about your data a little bit more easier to understand. So you're just making it easy for your bosses to read it, understand it within minutes. All right, let me see, what other question do you have there? All right, good, Shankar. I'm glad that you learned something. That will help people to make sense quickly using table and chart. Yes, you're right. That's the purpose of pivot table though. And you will notice not so much of graphical representation except for a chart. But if you use Power BI, basically it's a lot of charts, very limited data. You can also put in data, you can also put in chart, but basically Power BI shows a lot of chart. They also have maps. Maps helps you to identify which region of your business actually grow. It's like, let's say your business is the entire of Malaysia, national, it's the entire Malaysia. So you want to know which state actually have the highest sales. So they can have different color for the one that is the highest sales. This particular Excel only can filter, or shall I say, color the cell which has the biggest number. So it all depends on the value. But graphically, I believe to tell story of your data, Power BI is the way to go. You can actually go to Power BI and try it out. Across multiple sheets, Power Pivot, pivot table, no. Pivot table, no. You need to use Power Query to set up a data model. Once the data model is there, then you can use your pivot table, or you can use your Power Pivot to do that. Okay. Yes, of course, you can do pie chart, no problem, right? So if I click this particular table, now let me just pull this on the way for a while. I go to this thing called Analyze Chart. Basically, everything you need to know about the chart is here. So you got a pie chart, you got a bar chart, area chart, map, this kind of thing, surface. Yeah, you can do that. These are some of the new ones that you can find only in your Microsoft Office 365, like the sunburst, but the data has to be different, the tree map, the waterfall. Yeah, so you're asking me about pie chart? Yes, I can do that. I got histogram as well. Yes, I got histogram. Can have histogram. I have a pie chart. Let me just show you pie chart. If you don't like pie, you can use donut. Okay. There you go. This is the pie chart. Yes, no problem. Pushpa, no problem. The whole set of chart that you normally find are all available. So if I click on this table, that means the chart is going to use the data in this table. If I click on this, then the data is going to, the chart is going to come from this set of data. Now, this is not very suitable for chart because I have very big value, very small value, and also quite small value. That will not look good. Okay, so that's why I'm using a single set of data kind of a chart. Then it will look good. So it's all in here, pivot chart. You can have 3D. So when you go to this column, you can use this 3D chart if you want to. These are 3D chart. You have pie, you have 3D as well. So here, the 3D chart. Again, you can have 3D chart as well, no issue. Like I said, all the charts that is available in Excel is available for your pivot table. So there's nothing missing, still there. All right. Any more questions? All right. So I hope this sharing brings new meaning to you in Excel. You can use pivot table to start with. I did not go through the fundamental with you. I feel that it's a little bit boring to talk about the fundamental. I just want to excite you with a little bit of simple way to get things done, right? Right, so what did Asohan say? Let me see. Okay, so assuming you have your, okay, let me just answer that question quickly. Now, after you have created this report, then you realize that this data is giving you a little bit of a problem, meaning there are some updates. You need to do some changes. Okay, let me just turn off the filter. There are some changes that you rectify. Then what you need to do is just change whatever data that you like, whatever data that is wrong, you make changes. Go back to your report here. Then you click on this and choose refresh all. Go to the data, click refresh all. When you refresh all, there are 1, 2, 3 table here. It will be refreshed. Then the whole set of report is ready to go. You don't have to do it one at a time. Okay, what other question that I have here? Okay, so I think that's all I have for tonight. We can always talk about this in the group chat. Okay, thank you so much everyone for coming. Okay, this is just a 1 hour session that I want to steal away from your evening so that you can also learn something in this short 1 hour briefing. I have another meeting to go. So I'm going to end the meeting. Anything, I will take it offline. All right? So Kenny, we will be meeting soon, right? No. Sorry guys, I have another meeting to go to. I'm going to have, bye-bye everyone.
Thank you very much,
Right,
Calvin.
thank you so much,
Bye-bye.
Kevin. Bye.